The Policy Council was at the second Ogun State Investors Forum held at Abeokuta, Ogun State on May 21st to 22nd, 2014. The theme was Agriculture and Urban Development, Ogun State, the New Frontier. The opening ceremony was addressed by His Excellency Governor Ibikunle Amosu and the former President of Mexico, Mr. Vicente Fox.
Today, we have created an enabling environment for investment to thrive and improve our investment climate, and thus make our state an investor's destination of choice. Welcome to Ogun State, the new frontier for economic and social development. Welcome to the state that is truly and always open for business. We say that we want to be what New Jersey is to New York. That's why we want to be to Lagos. Indeed, we want to be more than that, because we've always said that we encircled Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria. And what we seek to do, we seek to feed Lagos, not only Lagos, every other state within the southwest here, and of course the access that we have to the West African sub-region. We seek to house them too as well. We seek to move them. And when I tell them, how do we want to move them? Now they've started, of course, the rail, and we are following suit. We are linking all our major cities, indeed with the neighboring states, with our light rail system. So once again, I thank all of you and for listening to me, and I thank you for being at this forum. God bless you.
Mark and I can perceive very clearly that Nigeria, that this state have purpose and know where you're going. This nation is promoting, together with the state, a new energy and dynamism to this great continent of Africa. I don't have any doubt that on the 21st century, Africa will not only be the so-called continent of the future, but it will be one of the powerful engines that is going to move the world economy. This nation, Nigeria, had to understand integration, the unity of all Africa. The African Union should be the dream and the idea to move energy, talents, resources on the right direction. There's only one way to change a nation in one generation. It is through education. I know in education you have to think long term. You need at least one generation to be able to get back the investment on education. But that will change the nation. Tell you an example, and maybe it could be followed here. India. More than 50 years ago, a visionary man decided that he was going to copy, to replicate MIT from United States, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. So he brought in the experts, and his vision was to build for India enough massive human capital specialized on technology so that India will be competitive with that project. 50 years ago, today India, through the Indian Institute of Technology, IIT, copy of MIT, has in the United States over 100,000 alumni that came from these 50 years of efforts of IIT. Final thought, Deepak Chopra, he said, get yourself with 5 minutes in silence every day. Think about who am I every day? What is my purpose in life? Am I doing the right thing, or I can do more? And I can do better. And after those 5 minutes, let's come to a day of work to bring gifts and happiness to others, but also to gift our nation, our state, our community with that renewed energy that we get after those 5 minutes every day. Otherwise, we go through life in mediocrity without really fighting hard, without really struggling to make sure that we meet our dreams.
My name is Laide Awoyemi. I dey live for Lagos. You see as our new Lagos just defined the go. Good thing good though. To go market now, no hard at all. Just pay. Sit down inside BRT bus. Small time, you don't reach where they go. Hospital nko, e full ground. And for me and my pikin where I just born, treatment now free. You look left, you look right. Them they build new roads, new hospitals, new schools, new things everywhere. Everywhere they shine, gone. We thank God though. But come on, I hear saying that this tax money wey they pay, and then they use do all these good things. Me, they pay my own tax too. Say they pay your own.
Pay your tax. It's your civic responsibility. It's your duty. It's the law.
I moderated a session focused on strengthening agro-based industry and attracting world-class players.
Welcome to this second plenary focused on strengthening the agro-based industry and attracting world-class players. Implicit in that topic are two sets of distinct but related objectives. We want to strengthen the agro-based sector in Ogun State, but we also recognize that to do that, or if we do that, or as we do that, we must also attract world-class players who can bring in the capital, who can bring in the know-how and the experience to help us transform agriculture in our state and create wealth for our people.
Some of the key elements that led to significant improvement of the agricultural sector is one, long-term investment, technology upgrading, institutional reforms, and changes in state-society relations. And having heard quite a lot from the literature and also from the media, I want to say at this point, Ogun State is in the right direction. Because it has realized that over 70% of the population is occupied with agriculture. And in 2007, despite there had been agricultural policy before, but this had not helped the small farmers to that great extent. The policy helped outline the general steps for government agencies, but no specific policy objectives and strategies that will lead to greater private sector engagement, because private sector leadership is what will drive the agricultural sector in Nigeria or in general, specifically Ogun State and even the whole of Africa. First of all, identification of market opportunities and constraints for the state. Then the development of sustainable and efficient competitive production systems. Then diversified income generation activities through expanded utilization. Like for cassava, there are 1,000 uses of cassava, but only few are known in Nigeria, so diversified utilization base. There is also infrastructure investments, private sector leadership, supportive fiscal policies, policy options for increasing the productivity, utilization, and commercialization, and as important, accessible market information system to the farmers. Then the government should always catalyze the development of viable commercial enterprises. Ogun State must design a market-oriented strategy with emphasis on value addition and productivity enhancement along the value chain. It has to have a deliberate, strategic, and sustained 15 to 25 years set of actions for a private sector-led agricultural transformation. We should not forget the incentives to the private sector. And we should realize that there are no quick fixes for sustained economic growth, particularly when you are aiming at 7 to 10% for poverty alleviation. And I must say IITA will be able to assist in generating technologies, agricultural knowledge, and capacity building for the agricultural transformation. Government must restrict its intervention to broad policy formulation and stimulation and support to private sector engagement in production and marketing. The principle of subsidiarity must apply. Start from the local level, local government level, to the state level, and then to the federal level. And also think big, start small, and scale out later. And the exit strategy from type-bound projects are crucial for sustainable development of the agricultural sector. Thank you very much.
Please, I'm sure you can predict who I'm going to call on next to share his ideas on the twin issues of strengthening agro-based industries and attracting players like themselves.
There are two main things that I would like to say without being repetitive and rehashing all that you have said. One is a need to pause and ponder over what we commit to when we say world class. It is important to remember that there's just one world, and there is not an African world-class standard or an Ogun State world-class standard. So the standard of excellence that is contained and is inherent in saying world-class is in a sense even absolute. And we therefore have to understand that. That is one. The second thing is that while the private sector obviously has a distinct role in this, it is also important to realize that no one can do it by themselves. So you have to construct an ecosystem, one in which the government has a role, the private sector has a role, civil society has a role, the traditional authorities have a role, and we must then work together to create the conducive environment in which the agriculture will prosper. I think once you have that in place, he has demarcated what I call the LIE principle. Law, infrastructure, education, we know how to do that. The capabilities for execution, the recognition that today we are not as competitive as we would like to be, and therefore market access is not as big as we would like it to be. There are 100 million people plus in Nigeria who live in poverty, who could be in the categories of consumer goods who are not there today. On the average, consumer goods in Nigeria are much more expensive than many other markets in the world. If this ecosystem comes together to work together, you then have a situation where all the goals of the inclusive society that everybody talks about can be pulled together and constructed.
So let's draw the conversation away from big business to someone who is a facilitator, as it were, of agricultural innovation, agricultural investments, community-based initiatives, targets the youth, and has done quite a few good things in Porto-Novo, as we've been told, and a few other places around Nigeria.
Imagine today
that every young boy or girl in Ogun State is empowered to think he is powerful, he can do it. Every square 2 hectares, you can produce high quality food over there, harnessing the opportunities in that, so that agriculture becomes what I call multifunctional. Agriculture produces food in high quantity for healthy living, healthy aging, disease prevention. No matter how small, we are fascinated by this big type of agriculture that is not working. Whereas the new economy is calling for a distributed economy where small groups, 10 hectares, 5 hectares, become extremely important, extremely productive. The challenge would be, as Vicente Fox Soko, linking them together with modern internet, getting all those distributed economies, putting them together, it becomes economy of speed, economy of style. This is the solution today. We'll explore that further, but there's a gentleman here who I would say straddles, maybe he's in between Brother Ozamujo's community-based approaches and the big business approach of Unilever.
It was the will of God that Mexico should be next to the United States of America. It's also the will of God for Ogun State to be next to Lagos. Lagos is the biggest market in Africa. Lagos has the greatest buying power. 67% of the middle class in Nigeria live in Lagos. Ogun State has the land, it has the people, and some of the most enterprising people are here in Ogun State. How do you translate this? It must be a definite and deliberate action of this government to say to itself, we have to take advantage of that market. I give an example. I have 2 farms in Ekpe. By the time either the okra or the cabbage or the lettuce or any of these are ripe, the people at my 12 are already begging you to bring them. Bigger still, ShopRite came to Nigeria, established a shop, and now have gone into 3, now going to 5. They now plan to go into 12, so it's a pack and shop. But today they have cut back. What happened? They started bringing in tomatoes, onions, all kinds of things from South Africa. Then they said they were told Jos is there. They went to Jos. 2 things went wrong in Jos. Number 1, the logistics. The road is far. Before the goods arrive here, the quality has dropped, and ShopRite must maintain its international quality. 2, the instability and therefore lack of reliability of the products arriving in their shops. The first thing they did was to cut down the plans of the number of shops. So it's pack and shop. Ogun State and Lagos are not even next door to each other. The conurbation has, you don't even see the line anymore. So why would you not now take agriculture as a big and important issue? The private sector here in Ogun State must be made to feel as a real partner of government, a respected partner of government. For the youths, don't beg the youths, make it attractive for them. The moment you start begging, they now start asking for, they want incentives. For you to be progressive in life, you don't need incentives, you just need an environment that is conducive.
There's somebody here who has a unique perspective and a useful perspective, the dawn perspective. Of course, agriculture, and I've had the opportunity to collaborate with him in this. Agriculture is clearly something in which you probably benefit from a regional strategy, because there are strengths there and weaknesses there, and there are markets that you can all tap into. So, Dipo, how does the Dawn agenda and its agricultural sector focus fit into all of this?
And we think one of the ways we could quickly catalyze quite a number of the opportunities and possibilities that the region presents, especially in leveraging the scale of the region, is by working together on a number of fronts. And I think the Dawn agenda has tried to continue to reinforce that fact that there are possibilities and there are big opportunities in leveraging the scale that is available in the region. And therefore, we begin to look at quite a number of areas where each of the states has strength and competitive advantage or competitive advantages that could be scaled across the region. Especially if you look at what is Lagos doing, for instance, in some of the areas where it is strong, what is Ogun doing in some of the areas where it's strong, and how can some of those things be replicated across the region. So we try to facilitate that kind of interactions amongst them, and it will interest you to note that even sometimes when we sit down at such informal interactions, they begin to share ideas about things that are going on in their region, in their states. And the next time you meet, you find them saying, oh, we also have that happening. As a commission, we've also tried to see how we could build institutions around some of the things that are going on. For instance, if, Ogun State has an academy that trains farmers, there is no reason why the rest of the region should not use that academy. There's no reason why all of them cannot, find a mechanism for supporting that academy and making sure that that academy serves the region. So clearly for us, we also continue to push the ideas that this is a market. It's a market of more than 45 million people beyond Lagos. And I've heard the governor say that he wants to feed the region. Indeed, and I can say that he has made quite a number of strides in ensuring that that aspiration is realized.
There's one of us on the panel whose role maybe she would have been listening to us and been eager to chip in as everybody said something. Roke is essentially the policy person in Ogun State, is responsible for agriculture. And we know the state has done a lot. So I would challenge Roke to tell us in specific terms what are the opportunities that you see. What exactly are you selling?
For us in Ogun State, it's about a revamp of that economy. And it's not just about talking the talk, but walking that talk. Walking that talk from the perspective of a policy shift. And not policy on paper, but what you actually practice. We're working with the young people because we have looked at the farming population and realized that there's a dearth. And if we're not careful, we will have a gap in the next 5 to 10 years, and farmers will become totally and completely extinct. Apart from that, we have also looked at our current crop of farmers. The bulk of them are sustenance farmers. These are smallholder farmers with 5 hectares and below. So that's also a target group for us because we realize that we can talk about the fancy mechanization. Mechanization is important from the perspective of land clearing. We're peculiar in this side of Nigeria because we have thick forests. So clearing land and preparing land takes the chunk of the work. So for us, it's important that we open up land for this crop of farmers. And in addition to that, we work with them to see how we can maximize the entire value chain of that industry. That's not just enough. You also have to look at the existing laws that you have. How do they support farming? How do they support agriculture? These days, everybody wants to go into modernized abattoirs. But the truth is, if you do not have the supporting and enabling meat laws, revamped meat laws, those mechanized abattoirs in no time will become extinct, and you have no choice other than to go back to your rudimentary practice of killing cows, and getting meat to the people. So for us, it's a mixed bag. Mixed bag because you also have a lot of work to do from reaching out to where these farmers are, where they're positioned. And that's where the extension services does come in for us. We work closely with the federal government. The GES scheme is very very commendable. And what it's done for us is it's enabled us to have at least we have a register, a database of sorts of our farmers now. We know who they are, we know where they are, we know the sort of services they require of us, and we're able to penetrate, deep into where they reside and do their business. We work with the likes of IIT and NIHOP to get improved varieties of seeds, seedlings, and cuttings across to them. What we do as government is we have replication farms where we plant these, and the produce is solely used to replicate that successful cropping back to the farmers. So it's like I keep saying, it's a mixed bag for us. We're open for business. We have revised and revamped our land administration rules. Land is more easily available to people. You could say yes to timeline, but I can assure you that it takes the time frame it does because we want to be certain that we have crossed all our T's and dotted all our I's. So that as at the time we move to location, you're convinced, and we are also convinced that you are genuine and you know what it is exactly that you want to do. In terms of policy making, we're focused on our policies surviving our administration because we do realize that you cannot politicize agriculture. Agriculture is about sustenance, it's about food security, it's about ensuring that our people have access to livelihood, means of livelihood, and are able to create wealth, and that also that we create employment opportunities for the younger generation. Thank you very much.
I would like to stress some of the key points that have occurred throughout the discussion. Private sector leadership, it comes out very strongly, but in a multi-stakeholder approach in which there are avenues for all stakeholders to input into policy, to share solutions and ideas. We must use market-based approaches, sustainable strategies, involving incentives, very clearly articulated policy. Execution, that's something that Mr. Ijewere stressed. Father Zamujo stresses some recognition that we're not just trying to solve the problem of agriculture, but we're also trying to solve the problem of a community in terms of employment, in terms of youth engagement, in terms of peace and security, and many other factors. Ogun State and the Southwest region is a robust, has the right endowments, has the right competitive advantage for agriculture, and we have the right people. And I think we have the right leadership in the state, and I believe that all of us in Ogun State have the will to make Ogun State what Mexico has become to the United States, or what New Jersey is to New York.